and gentlemen, that's a big bang budget that we heard from Nirmala Sitharaman, and the biggest news that we were waiting for, well, that's come true. Tax slabs have seen a major change. In fact, if you look at, there is going to be no income tax levied if you have an income of up to 12 lakh rupees. Above 12 lakh is where the income tax will kick in. And we have Sumit Singhania and Monika Halan to break that down for us. Sumit Singhania, what does this really mean for the common man? How are the tax rates and tax slabs going to work now?
So, Navika, in the pre-budget show that we were talking about, this is the most significant change that common man could have expected, right? And I would go ahead and say this is the best that they have ever seen in any budget in the last 30, 40 years. So, having a tax exemption limit raised from 3 lakh to 12 lakhs is just massive. It's super big, right? Even for the taxpayer whose income is much above 12 lakhs, there is substantial decrease in the overall tax liability, right? If your income is...
Sumit, if you can just put your mic in your pocket and come and explain. Right now, 4 to 8 lakh slab, there was a 5%. Now up to...
No. The other way.
It's the opposite.
So far, that is what it was.
No, this is the current one, Navika.
This is current.
Okay, this is the previous. So now we come here. And 4 to 8 lakh slab. If you
Navika, can I explain?
Yes, please.
Okay, so very simply, the regime. No, I'm fine here. The regime till now is that 0 to 3 for the new tax regime. It's zero tax. Should you have an income of 7 lakh and no more, you are zero tax.
Okay.
Okay, that is today. What they have done is this 7 is now 12. So if you are earning 12 lakh and no more, then you pay no tax. If you earn more than 12 lakh,
then you are taxed in these.
Yes, so that 3 lakh becomes 4.
Okay.
And at the top marginal rate, you were paying 30% tax at 15 lakh. Now you're paying
at 24 lakh.
So this is big. This is very big bang. It is really good for this middle class, which we've been talking about all this while. They have got something major in this budget.
So this is for those people who are earning more than 12 lakhs. Yes. This is how the slabs will kick in. If you earn only 12 lakh rupees as your income, then there is zero tax. But if you earn more than 12 lakhs, that is more than 1 lakh rupee a month, then the first 4 to 8 lakhs will be at 5%. Up to 4, there is zero tax. Earlier on, this limit was at 3 lakhs. So you get relief here. You get relief in the slabs, because earlier above 15 lakhs you were paying 30%. Now you will pay only above 24 lakhs the 30% rate. So you get some relief in these slabs even here. And Sumit Singhania, if you can actually explain this once again to our viewers.
Right, so Navika, like you said, this is massive, right? So having a tax exemption going up from 3 lakhs to literally 12 lakhs, 4 times exemption growth. Then if you look at even the people who are in studio or outside studio who are earning, let's say, even 1 crore rupees of income, having the 25% reduction in the tax liability up to 25 lakhs is massive, right?
Okay.
So it puts more money in the hands of everybody, not only the middle class.
So even if you are earning 1 crore rupees a year, you get a tax relief.
There is a substantial tax relief that happens because of the change in the tax.
Superb. So that is where Lakshmi is smiling. Rohit Azad, are you smiling? Is this what you expected? And do you think you will today give a thumbs up to this budget?
So in terms of the middle classes, definitely they are going to be happy. But we need to be clear in terms of what this represents. So it's not 3 to 12, it's 7 to 12 in terms of exemption.
Yes.
Those who had it earlier for 7, that has gone up to 12. Oh. Of course, it will benefit those people who are between 7 and 12. But beyond 12, there is a slab decrease which has taken place. So disposable income would rise. But I would just like to add to that, that is going to benefit the middle classes. If along with that, the fiscal deficit is coming down, then it effectively means expenditure is going to come down. So the money is going to go to the middle classes, but money is going to be taken away from the poor and the working classes. So that's where the contradiction would be. Let's see how this would play out.
Guys, that this leaves more money in the hands of the common spender, and that's going to have a multiplier effect in the economy.
Well, Anand Ranganath.
Okay, Tata khatam bye-bye for the next 10-15 years as far as middle class grouse is concerned. They are pro-Modi now. But
well, they needed to be because for the last 10
sabka badla le
years,
liya. Sabka badla 10 saal mein le liya.
40, people are saying in 40 years, in a one-time stroke, this kind of tax relief hasn't happened.
Here is the catch. There is only one ghada from where you can pick up stuff and distribute. Now, if you've given so much to the middle class, where have you taken it from? That's the question. What's the answer there? And
what's the answer there?
The answer, sorry. No, you please go.
Single word answer.
The answer is this will all show up in higher GST collections because this money is going to be spent.
Correct.
It's not like they're going to put it all in the piggy bank and sit at home, right? All discretionary spends will go up because your disposable income comes. So it will easily show up substantially. The loss in revenue here will show up in a rise in indirect taxes. That is exactly what will happen.
So which means it will become.
And not only that, I'll say one more point. The old tax regime is history.
Correct.
Because the difference in 5 lakh difference between 7 and 12 lakhs takes care of all the deductions that you used to get under the old thing. So why break your head with saying 2.5 lakhs here, half a lakh there, etc. It is irrelevant now. You will take the new tax.
So without merging formally the two income tax...
no, but if you have more than 12, then that argument doesn't hold.
No, but
if
the rate
it's
is
more
lower.
than 12.
No, but the rate is lower.
Rate is lower, but it needs to be still seen.
For
those between 7 and 12,
Okay.
No, but
Up
the
to
political
12
rhetoric
will
out of
say
it.
zero. You will
Yeah.
have that.
Sumit Singhania.
If I take the political rhetoric out of it, just about an hour ago, we were asking for more and more, disposable income in the hands of the middle class, poor people, even the upper middle class. Now, this has happened. This is massive. This hasn't happened in last 30 years, right? I think we should take this. Where the government is going to source it, there is absolutely great mathematics around it. I would say it's a significant investment government is making in taking the economic growth to the next level, right? We were talking about growth slowing down. If India has to grow at 7% year on year for next 30 years or 25 years to become a developed economy, this is the right recipe we needed, right? And this is going to have the multiplier effect, put more money in the hands of every single spender in the country, and that's massive. It's not only for rural economy, it's only for the urban economy.
We'll have
They're actually giving it to the poor.
I will leave the political rhetoric to you, but just as a...
No, can I make a point?
Yeah, sure.
I know this indirect tax thing will come, but can I just tell everyone, we have a progressive indirect tax system in India. GST is 0 for basic consumption goods. Right. For food, packaged food and all, it is 5%. As you go up the scale, your GST rate is very high for luxury goods. So India has built in progressivity into indirect taxes. So should the poor choose to consume the goods without GST, they are 0 or low tax. So I just don't buy the argument that they will pay more tax. No, don't buy a Mercedes. Buy something else. Buy something with lower GST because the mass consumption goods have a lower GST number.
Absolutely, and I think this will come as music to everybody's ears as these tax rates are announced, and Saloni Roy also joins this broadcast, tax expert. Saloni Roy, what do you think about the tax slabs that have been altered now? Across the board, do taxpayers benefit from this, or is it only those who have a 12 lakh rupee income? Can you break this down for our viewers tonight?
Sumit, do you want to take this?
Yes.
On the...
Okay.
To me, I think we spoke about this, Navika. This puts extra money in the hands of every single taxpayer. It's not limited to people who are marginalized or who are really not paying taxes or not even filing tax return. It is a absolute net addition to the disposable income of the entire country, right? And that increasing, even I'm saying the highest taxed income slab, which is 15 lakhs, taking this to 24 lakhs, that's the change we should look at. We shouldn't try and nitpick on it could have happened this way or that way. Remind me.
Nobody is nitpicking. Yeah. I think all of us are ecstatic, and Mr. Mehrotra, your first reaction to the budget and of course the tax bonanza for the middle class.
No, of course, there is a clear tax bonanza for the middle class, no question about it. I'd like to see the math behind it. We don't know what is the cuts in public expenditure that are likely to happen, because clearly this may lead to even further reductions in tax to GDP ratio. Tax to GDP ratio has been static.
Okay.
Personal income tax share in
But
any...
will it push growth,
It
consumption?
It might increase. Of course, it will increase consumption in the middle class, but middle class accounts for no more than 15 to 20% of India's population. So we need to keep the facts in mind also. Please remember that the vast majority of people in rural areas, who are about nearly 50% of our workforce, they don't pay any income tax at all. So they're not impacted by this at all. So we've got to see how much we are actually going to see an increase in demand from...
All right, fair point. Sanjay Jha, I want your first reactions. Clean, bold ho gaye ke nahi? Tax slabs get a major overhaul. Middle classes are loving it. Modi promised Lakshmi in everybody's pockets, and there the goddess Lakshmi smiling on everyone. अब क्या कहेंगे पार्लियामेंट से बाहर निकल के? The walkout happened, the symbolic walkout and walk-in happened in parliament. How are you going to respond to this? Good for the Aam Aadmi?
Navika, let me answer you very quickly with facts. If you look at data, to add to what Dr. Mehrotra was adding, the government of India's government expenditure is funded by tax revenues, account for almost 78 to 80% of government expenditure is funded out of tax revenues. So whether the government expenditure will be clipped or not is something to watch for. Point number two, very important. Is it coming in too little, too late? And I'll tell you why it's too little. The assumption that now demand by itself can trigger growth means that the government has acknowledged what we in the opposition have been saying for the last 10 years, which is that the answer does not lie in merely trying to invest in giving entrepreneurs production or tax cuts, but in giving spending and purchasing power in the hands of the common people. The middle class were truly truncated and devastated and needed relief. I'm glad they have got it. But the fundamental question remains that end of day, the middle class will probably in the initial time will need to recoup their lost savings. They will need to look at their investment. Will it result in a direct expenditure? Too early to say, because there is an alternative viewpoint, and I believe in that alternative viewpoint, that unless private investment goes up, unless you create jobs which will create income, which will create more demand, you are actually still going to be at the periphery of the growth story. So the growth is not necessarily going to be triggered by just an income tax cut, because this could be a very elementary exercise. Just cut income tax and hope for the economy.
Sanjay Jha, you just proved the scientists right. Forget glass half full or half empty. It is actually na glass hai na pani hai. Anand Ranganath.
And how many income taxpayers are filing zero tax returns? 5
1 minute,
Navika, there
Anand.
are 2 points here. First of all, this fact, as Monica was talking about, flat earth, thing about, what was it, 75% of the...
Yeah, he said 75% is coming from direct taxes. It is not.
What's the figure?
So in corporation tax is 17% of the budget, 19% is income tax, GST is 18, customs is 4, excise is 5. This is last year 24. It will have marginally shifted this time. No, it cannot change by too much.
So baat to facts pe galat. Uske baad se, this adage goes, there are 2 things that are certain in life, death and taxes. I think Narendra Modi has countered it. From now on, there is only one thing that is certain in life, death.
Well, Jaggi.
No, see, you have to see the fundamental thing that has changed here. Would I trust 1 rupee in the hands of government as taxes, 1 rupee in the hands of ordinary people who can spend more wisely and not waste its money? 1 rupee in the hands of government is a waste. 1 rupee in my hands is probably going to be effectively used, and that's a fundamental shift. You now trust people to take care of the growth story. You have created spending power. You have created discretionary spending. All this could result in investment. If those who say no investment happening, investment will happen. Now that demand is being created.
Absolutely. And what do people think about it? The common man.
2024 में ये किया होता election से पहले.
Well, better late than never. Well, tab 400 par ho jata. But joining me on the phone lines are our viewers, Raja, Ravi and Siddharth, all calling in from Bengaluru. Mr. Raja, what do you think about the tax slabs and the tax relief that common man has got, and how do you rate this budget?
Madam, 3 cheers to Madam Nirmala Sitharaman. I haven't heard such a budget at any time giving more relief to middle class who are sincere taxpayers. And I feel that this government is really encouraging all sections of society. And I, as a senior citizen, I feel that the benefit of double of from 50 lakhs to from 50,000 to 1 lakh is really great. And my only regret is that as a pensioner from the bank, Madam should listen to the pensioners and enhance it in the same way as central government pension.
All right. I hope the finance minister will take note of your request. Thank you very much for joining us on Times Now. Mr. Ravi, how do you rate this budget, and do you think these tax reliefs really give a breather to the middle class?
Navika, good afternoon, and I am truly delighted today. I have only one thing to say, Modi hai to mumkin hai. I think the India growth is on a right trajectory, and there's a lot of money which is going into the hands of the consumers. And I am sure, like your experts and pundits, some of them who are there in your panel who said that 1 rupee put into my hand is always well spent, instead of giving 1 rupee to the government and asking them to spend it on me. So I am really thrilled. I am really delighted. Last but not the least, I would wish our Congress, probably the debarred or suspended Congress spokesperson, to get well, because he is looking, I think you should, this is not the day to pick up things.
Sanjay Jha, would you want to tell Mr. Ravi that actually dil mein you agree with him, but what to do? Political compulsions make you criticize everything that Modi does.
Navika, here is the simple thumb rule, and I would request anybody to contradict me here. What are the 4 components of growth? Consumption demand, investment demand, exports and government expenditure. Now you find that exports, we have been sluggish to negative. Government expenditure was the only thing that was probably keeping the economy going. Investment has been tepid and demand was low. So there is an income tax cut, which is welcome. Anybody will welcome that. But the truth is that these are very early days to believe that it's going to transform the growth story. Remember,
okay, you think even this is not going to help? Well, let me get in Mr. N.R. Prasad from Bengaluru. Mr. N.R. Prasad, do you believe the Modi Sarkar has done the right thing by giving these tax breaks? And do you think growth will pick up?
Navika ji, a very good afternoon, and to all the panelists there. It is not right thing. It is a fantastic thing done by Modi ji and Nirmala Sitharaman today. And I am also a fan of Anand Ranganathan. I have got a small query to him. Mr. Ranganathan, just tell me this 12 lakhs, including that capital gains, in case somebody is trading and it is a part of the capital gains, which also included in this 12 lakhs, that's what I wanted to ask. And one piece of advice to Mr. Sanjay Jha, don't criticize the 24 into 7 into 365. At least appreciate one day on the budget day to Modi's government, who has done a fantastic job for the year 2025.
Well said, Mr. Prasad. Yes, Sanjay Jha will take a break for today in criticizing and start criticizing tomorrow morning. Sanjay Jha, is that a deal?
Well, let me tell the gentleman who clearly is in love with me, that this government gave away...
This is another gentleman. Everybody is in love with you.
The Modi government in a tax cut gave away 1,50,000 crores since 2019 to the corporate sector on the promise of jobs and growth that never happened. So please, you have already given away 10 lakh crores that were due to you. So this government is not doing you any favors at all.
I'm sending you a tissue box. Wipe your tears. Wipe your tears, Sanjay Jha. Tissue box coming your way from the Times Now studios. But also joining me is Makarand from Kolhapur. Makarand ji, What do you think about the budget announcement and the tax relief?
Hello, good morning to all Navika and the fellow panelists. Really, it's a bonanza for the taxpayers. I wish to understand from the fellow panelists whether have the finance minister, madam, have given any relief to the NPS, non-performing assets.
Okay, non-performing assets, have they got? We're still waiting to read the budget papers. We only know what has been announced by her in Parliament.
But NPS actually has been, the twin balance sheet problem was solved
by the
several.
NPS solved out NPS.
So that problem was solved earlier. Both the banks and the corporate balance sheets are now clean.
And NPS, we'd probably seen a bank statement in an
Correct.
RBI
Not in the
document,
budget.
not really in the budget. Thank you very much, Makranji, for joining us. Also joining me from Shillong is Mr. Raju, and joining me from Chennai is Mr. Venkatesh. Good afternoon, Mr. Raju from Shillong. Happy with Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's budget and the tax breaks announced?
Yes, ma'am. Very good afternoon. Myself, Raju Paul from Shillong. Ma'am, last budget I have given you a call, and I was very on the forefront. I told that the middle class required much relief from the government. I am thrilled. India is thrilled because Modi government has delivered on the need of the middle class, because middle class were really in the need for the relief in the income tax slab.
Do you think
just done it?
Do you think if he had delivered this earlier, 400 par ho jata?
Yes. Yes. Ma'am, maybe, yes, it was much needed. Yes, everything was possible. Modi hai to mumkin hai. Yes, but nevertheless, if it has come this year also, 400 par abhi bhi baki hai, 29 is still left. We can hope for the best.
Well, I hope the middle classes will remember this till 2029, because I don't see many income tax slab reductions happening between now and then. But joining me this afternoon is Sunil Kant Munjal. Thank you very much for joining me. And how do you rate this budget? While middle classes are ecstatic, is the industry going to give the regular 9 on 10 to Nirmala Sitharaman, Sunil Kant Munjal?
Frankly, I've never given any number or rating, but I think it's a very comprehensive budget. She's covered all the way from agriculture to technology, to education, to skilling, to healthcare, with some support and some encouragement. Also on MSMEs, startups and export as an activity. I think overall there is a very well spread, comprehensive support to the overall economy. But as you're right, the one big announcement was the exemption up to 12 lakhs, which has 2 or 3 salutary impact. One, of course, it's a great support for a large section of the middle class of India, leaving more money in their hands, thereby potentially increasing consumption, which is something that we've been talking about for a while, that the investment from private sector has not been sufficient. Then the government infrastructure spend has primarily been supporting the growth in the economy. This availability of surplus in individual and families' hands should encourage their both spending and also saving, and the spending would therefore result in higher consumption and therefore higher production and potentially more investment in capex and creation of additional jobs. So all of it has a multiplier. So I think it's a wonderful welcome announcement. 2 other announcements I think which were very critical. One, the setting up of an empowered group to look at all non-financial regulation and rules to draw up a completely new set. Because for a long time now we've been talking of easing, creating better ease of living, ease of doing business by tinkering with the existing set of rules. And these rules have been very, very cumbersome, many of them designed over 100 years ago. So this is a very welcome move. I hope we can do something productive and quickly. And the second, of course, we look forward to the new direct tax bill, which should come in next week. It will get tabled next week. And from what she said, directionally it sounds like it will be good. If it's half the size of the present one, I hope she had said it would be even smaller, but half is a big welcome forward move.
Well, let me also ask you, Mr. Munjal, let me also ask you the big question. Yeah. With this consumption growth that we are expecting coming in from tax breaks, is it enough to spur growth, in the economy where we see signs of cooling off, number one, and number two, the investment rating index for states? Do you think this is going to be a tool for, actually encouraging investments, or is it going to be a political tool which will be used more in elections rather than by the private sector in terms of pushing investments in states? How do you see these?
See, for a leader or a politician to make this announcement, of course, very, very important. But the reality is, you have let go of 1 lakh crores of cash that was collected in direct taxes. So that money will be available with individuals and families, and that eventually does result in either investment or saving or consumption. That's the only three places you can only three things you can do with the money, and which is why. And the second one was encouraging states to also spend. She announced 2 or 3 different schemes where states will be part of the spend of infrastructure. She did not, however, announce an overall infrastructure spend by the government, as she always does, she always has in previous years, but she scattered it in a number of different areas. So I've not been able to add up those numbers yet because I've not seen the details of the actual budget. I'm hoping it is significantly higher than last year, because we still knew it, and to your point, consumption does not take off in one day. It will take a little bit of time for consumption to pick up, and this time the globe is in a very uncertain place, especially with the new leadership in the US talking of tariffs and a whole host of changes. There is nervousness across the globe. So as a country, we need to better equip ourselves, we need to strengthen ourselves, which is why both the Make in India and the push on innovation, research and new knowledge within India alongside skilling becomes very, very critical for us. So as a combination of these, one can certainly see in over a period of time this will improve. But how much impact will have in the very short term, time will tell.
We'll have to wait and watch, but yes, all eyes.
Sensex is up by 556 points.
Well, compared to yesterday, yes. And today is a holiday, so
no, markets are open today.
Markets are open
today.
Markets
are open today.
Well, we'll get the clarification on the Sensex. Our numbers are showing a downward trend, but we have callers calling in. Thank you very much, Mr. Munjal, for joining me. Rajesh Shekharan joining me from Bengaluru. Also joining from Mumbai is Mr. Krishna. Mr. Rajesh Shekharan, what do you think about the tax reliefs? Do you think it's a time, apna time aayega, middle class was saying, and now time aa gaya?
Yes, madam. Good afternoon, madam, to you and all the panelists. It is, according to me, it is a very good budget, madam. Thanks to Modi and thanks to Sitharaman. I would only politely request Sanjay Jha, he is always criticizing BJP government. That is not good. Maybe to some extent. I am also praising BJP for everything. It should not be like me. He should not do like that. But I generally appreciate Anand Ranganathan. Generally, his speech are very good and I appreciate him. Overall, madam, I appreciate this budget.
Thank you. I will convey your wishes to the Finance Minister, and Anand Ranganathan is saying a big thank you to you. Let's go across to a caller from Mumbai, Mr. Krishna. Mr. Krishna, how do you rate this budget?
It is 10 out of 10. And see, when the tax is reduced, more money is left with the taxpayer. The purchasing power is increased and indirect taxes was increased. So this is a very good budget and people are now very happy about it. And the Harvard educated finance ministers will always say negative about whatever the budget is given by the.
Okay, who's a Harvard educated?
Sensex. Okay. So
Sensex going up, but
down.
Sensex is going down. and our numbers there showing the decline, but I don't know why it's going down. Maybe Sensex doesn't reflect the middle class mood. But Rajesh calling in from Mumbai. Good afternoon, Mr. Rajesh. How do you rate this budget? Dil mange more, or are you happy for today?
Good afternoon, ma'am. And a very good afternoon to all your panelists. I would give 8 and 8.5, maybe 9 out of 10 to this budget. I am from the poor middle class, and for the first time in 10 or 11 years since this government has been in power, I really am a bit happy about the budget that has been given. So on that count, I think I would congratulate and say my thanks to the Prime Minister and to the Finance Minister. That's one. Second, ma'am, since the last 11 years, I have not had really any good things to say about this government, and so has Mr.
Sanjay Jha.
Sanjay Jha in the panel. So he still looks very glum. So maybe for once I would request him to give the Finance Minister a pat on the back.
Well said, Mr. Krishna. But Sanjay Jha, 11 years, even he has not been happy about this government. Today he is. He's asking you, aaj ke din you need to pat the Finance Minister on the back. Would you make a change, Sanjay Jha?
Navika, I'll tell you, one has to read the fine print very carefully. Let's go back to the...
First read the bold print. First please read the bold print, and in the bold print, exemption limits are up to 12 lakh rupees.
Navika, in all fairness, give me a chance to respond. At one point, I don't have to explain to each and every caller. Number one, the significant statement made in the economic survey yesterday by the chief economic advisor to the Modi government was, get out of the way. That's a message there about what is holding back India's economic growth. Will that happen? We don't know that. They have said business as usual won't work, which means get the CBI, ED income tax off the back of Indian industry. Then they talked about trust deficit. You think trust deficit evaporates by reducing the income tax rate on the middle class? These are fundamental structural problems that are not going away anywhere. And until jobs are created, the India story remains extremely susceptible to volatility. And we are not even talking about the currency war or the tariff war and the implications on our exports in the global economy. So I think let's not get
let me give you a sense of get out of the way what all the government has done. And there are several announcements. A committee has been set up to look at the reforms, the regulations in the non-financial sector. They've said private investment, index will be there and ratings will be done. People can come out and make whatever they have to do in terms of investments. They've made several announcements.
Before the income tax thing took all the credit away and all the news, the biggest achievement of this budget was the push for nuclear power. Yeah. People are underestimating what kind of groundbreaking announcement that is, to have 100 gigawatts as nuclear power from 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2047, to have 5 SMRs by 2030. It's massive shift. But of course, income tax, relief has taken away. But, I want to come to I think the one line, takeaway line, I'm afraid, from the entire day belongs to Jaggi. When he says that the government has finally realized, Navika, that 1 rupee in a person's pocket is more important than 1 rupee in the government's pocket that government wants to spend it on that person. That should be the bottom. And Sanjay Jha is wrong, because government has finally realized this. This should have happened years ago, because people are much more wiser at spending the money given to them than
because they know their personal needs better than anybody else. And in the get out of the way, let me just announce, apart from the high-level committee for regulatory reforms review in the non-financial sector, the investment friendliness index will be launched. Mechanism to analyze existing regulatory mechanisms will be launched. Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0 will be introduced. More legal provisions will be decriminalized. So get out of the way is beginning to happen, Jaggi. And not just the middle classes, even Ayushman Bharat and key schemes have got greater allocations. So the poor are also being looked at.
Yeah, poor are getting money in their bank accounts. But when you say get out of the way, I think the people who actually need to get out of the way are the people standing in the way of reforms, which includes Rahul Gandhi and those guys sitting on Chambu border. They are the ones thwarting reforms, and if those reforms take off the ground, it'll be better. Other thing I want to give you, I'm looking at some of the fine print. despite these tax concessions, the income tax revenues of the government are going up by 1.8 lakh crore. Okay, between last year and this year. So which means they are expecting this to increase their income tax revenues even after this. Corporate tax revenue goes up by about 1 lakh crore, but this thing goes up by 1.8 lakh crore. The biggest growth in taxes is in personal income taxes after all these cuts. So that's interesting. You know?
So that means more compliance is the expectation.
10 seconds to the poor, because I think Rohit would be interested in that. And please let me give the data.
Sure.
Ayushman Bharat, more spending on that. Did you know that as far as 380 million Ayushman health cards have been distributed, out of pocket expenditure, that was the fastest way for Indians to go into poverty. Correct. For health reasons, has been slashed by 21%. So it is wrong to say that this government is doing now only for middle class and not for poor. It wants to spur growth. It wants equal development. The point is, as Jaggi said, the real government that is entrenched in a lot of policies, the opposition wants the government not to get out. For example, opposition doesn't want privatization. Opposition doesn't want farm rules. So yes, more money in the pocket of individuals is great. But the government sooner or later has to come out of what it must come out of, which is the entrenched public sector mentality.
Absolutely.
This point that Jaggi made, and correctly so, there is perhaps a lot of kite flying happening here, because 1.8 lakh crore increase on top of a fall. So there has been actually, if you look at budget estimate versus revised estimates, the current one which has been placed, 31 lakh crores was the revenue receipt announced at budget estimate. It has gone down. So to propose it to increase, there needs to be some justification for that. I may calculate and say that this is what the tax revenue is going to be, whereas in actual, their own data shows that the tax revenues have gone down. You can check that. If that is so, then actual tax revenue could be much lower than the projection that is being made, 1.8 lakh crore. Where will that come from? If the tax slabs have gone down, in the previous year you have done that, and yet your revenue has not come.
Well,
the revenue is not going to come
then
from
opposition parties need to be, all political parties need to be taxed. That's where you make the...
But the data is showing an increase in the revised estimates of 24-25 of the gross tax revenue. I am looking at gross, sir. Gross is up in the revised estimates from budget estimates. It's up 38.4 to 38.5.
Yeah. So if you were to look at the corporation tax there, the revenues have come down, right?
Right.
So the projection that is being made.
No,
Just one second. So there were certain tax rates previously, and all of us agree that the tax rates have come down.
Correct.
Right? Across the board, especially for the middle class. Now, where would this increase then come from? 12.57 to 14.3.
Additional expenditure through consumption.
So there are assumptions being made, right? There are assumptions being made.
But then every year, budget estimates are assumptions.
Correct.
You think?
So the question is,
in the past,
but
when budgets were presented, they were not based on assumption. No, this is
budget estimate versus revised estimates you look at.
This is a ridiculous argument.
Absolutely not. You can't call it a ridiculous argument.
No, Pradeep Bhandari, our friend, the economist, Rohit Azad says that budget estimates are carrying a lot of assumptions.
Of course,
they always did. No?
Correct. So then you look at the past of what they have done.
We don't know about their assumptions, what they are. We don't know yet. And by the way, you should know, and all our listeners should know, that the total expenditure is down. The taxes may be up, but the total expenditure is consistently down all the way from 2021, I'm talking about revenue plus capital taken together as a proportion of GDP. Please note.
Well, in
RE, it is down from 15% to 14.6 in 24-25, and in budgeted, it's down from 14.6 to 14.2. So
let me
revenues are
just
down,
say,
expenditures
as far
are
as
down.
gross tax revenues are concerned, the budget estimate was 38 lakh.
ये absolute number में नहीं होता है. You have to do this estimate as a proportion of GDP. तो आपको ये देखना होगा कि आप इस साल में किस GDP को प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हो और नॉमिनल जीडीपी आपकी क्या, ये सब प्रोजेक्शंस हैं बजट में.
No, I agree with everything you say, but when you say that we will have to see, then we would have had to see even in all the previous budgets, and all of them are assumptions. But let me get in Pradeep Bhandari. Pradeep Bhandari, For those who don't see anything positive, even in today's budget announcement, इनके लिए कौन सी दवा है वो बता दीजिए.
Well, Bernal is the answer for them, Navika ji, and I can understand the meltdown. The people on the ground, and in fact the middle class, is celebrating the historic budget because the amount which Prime Minister Narendra Modi has done for the middle class, no Prime Minister in the past has done. And I will reiterate, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi had come into government, the income tax slab for the middle class to pay the tax was 2.5 lakh. Consecutively, whether it is in 2023 where we increased it to 7.5 lakh, and now where there is no income tax for 12 lakh. Even if you have an annual income of 18 lakh, there is a tax rebate. Even if your annual income is of 25 lakh, there is a tax rebate. So what the government has done, it has resonated with the sentiment of the middle class on the ground. Along with that, there is absolutely steps taken in order to ensure that the compliance cost for taxes also come down. So this is a holistic budget. This is a budget which is pro-middle class budget, and I can understand the Congress party and its supporters and analysts having a meltdown because they did not expect this to happen. They've not got any brownie points. Point number one. Point number two, on the part of the expenditure, if you see the budgetary estimate for 25-26 is 15 lakh crores of capital expenditure. The Congress party did not even spend 4 lakh crore on the capital index expenditure, and the revenue expenditure for 25-26 is 39.4 lakh crore. So both the revenue expenditure and the capital expenditure to what the UPA had spent has gone up substantially. Along with this, if you see, there is a big thing which is happening. The government has ensured that the consumption and the demand goes up, but the shining spot has also been the way the out-of-pocket expenditure of the rural income of the rural household has gone down. So if you look at the economic survey which the gentleman was speaking about recently, the economic survey mentions that the Ayushman Bharat scheme has reduced the out-of-pocket expenditure from 62% to 39%. So this is a budget which takes care of the Garib, Yuva, Annadata and the Nari, but the larger focus, I would say the takeaway for me has been the middle class. This is the Economic Times headline in of the morning, and it says that fundamentals are strong, time to unlock. So we've ensured that the demand goes up. We've ensured that as Anand
we have to read the fine print. I was hoping that Naris don't have to pay any taxes at all, but well, on that note, maybe Sanjay Jha and I are disappointed. But let me welcome Mr. Shardul Shroff, legal luminary as well as a man who looks at industry closely. Good afternoon, Mr. Shardul Shroff, and how do you look at this budget? The announcements are great for middle classes, but overall for the economy, what do you think it's going to do? Will you give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I would give it a thumbs up for the reason that the amount of tax which has been released by moving the tax exemption from 7 lakhs to 12 lakhs, which is almost 80% of the exemption given to the middle class. That amount of money being released is significant because it will go into the consumption industry, it will go into the capital products industry, and that will therefore kick off its own virtuous cycle of growth. The point which is also important in all this the discussions on the budget is that you have increased investments in insurance from 74% to 100%. If you see what is already happening between Alliance and Bajaj, they are exiting out from both the life company as well as the general insurance, and that will be an additionality of income. Now that they see such a change, perhaps they may set up the industry of their own. They may not tie up with Jio, and they may see the additional money that they need to invest for 100% venture in insurance. So there will be spin-off effects of this kind of growth. Now I also see one major effect, that when you speak of lowering the tax on the 12 lakh limit, 12.75, and you're also increasing the tax at the top end, where you're changing the 25 lakhs sum to 30 lakhs, the expenditure for a figure of 12 lakhs and the tax expenditure on that will become significant in comparison to the income that is earned. So what is lost in one round is gained on the other. And that is where the balancing of the budget is happening.
Clearly, the budget has thrown up a lot of positives, of course, but some people are looking at the glass half empty or water being extinct in the world.
I have one more thing to talk about, which is that when you look at these slabs, where you're saying your highest tax slab begins after 24 lakh, it is also a representation of the transition of India from a low income to a low mid-income country. We are transiting. So we are no longer a poor country, okay? According to World Bank, we are no longer, that definition has changed. Lower middle, moving to middle. So this is representative of a transforming India. I just wish everybody would understand that we are actually transiting. We are no longer, we're not importing food anymore. We're not importing basic things. We're all, it's happening here. And these new rates, these new slabs, can I just finish? These new rates are symbolic of this transition of the country to a middle-income country.
Transition has gone on for 15 years, right? 18 years. 2007, we became a middle-income country. LMIC, a low-middle-income country.
Okay. And then from 2014, we became poor again.
No, can I ask? I'm not saying so.
I'm asking.
I'm telling you what the World Bank categories are. We are being, informed about when we have become middle-income. We are already low-middle-income country. We are the only low-middle-income country in the G20.
Low-middle to middle.
No, we are nowhere close to upper middle. Upper middle is at $4,000.
Say upper middle.
There's no such category as middle. You can say middle, upper middle. You can create all kinds of categories. Usme kya dikkat hai?
Well, is the budget first class or not? Is the big question. Sanjay Jha, do you want to revise your opinion? Any revised estimates coming from you?
Yeah, well, I want to respond to what I think the lady just spoke about, the middle income status. I don't know whether she's aware, but in the G20, India ranks lowest by a big margin on per capita income. And if you look at India's per capita income today at market prices, we're approximately $2,400 to become, by the way, into what Mr. Modi calls a Viksit Bharat. India's per capita income has to be close to $12,500 or $13,000. We are far from anywhere at the moment of even becoming a middle income country. I think it's about time we took a deep breath and stopped spreading fake news on the program. There is a lot.
Monika Halan is a very celebrated author, and Sanjay Jha, let's give credit where it is due. The Congress party may not be the only repository of knowledge, but Monika Halan in her own right is an award-winning author. Personal finance, I think many in the country and outside it look at her views and read her views and take tips from her. So to completely dismiss anybody who doesn't quite agree with you or who you don't agree.
Can I wrongly interpret what she said? She did not say middle income economy. She knows what middle income or lower middle income is.
I mean, nobody would know it better than her. But, Monika, since you've been named, would you want to rebut?
No, so the per capita argument was earlier, sort of debunked to say that, is this the dollar number that we want to look at?
Yeah, that's right.
Or the PPP number. So when you look at the two numbers, it's very, very different. So one is that you keep, cherry picking on some number and saying that, look, we are so poor. Look, nothing has happened. So for every data that you can pick, I can pick a separate data. So is there a sense of progress?
There's no end to it. Nirmala Sitharaman, Finance Minister, meeting speaker there, and let's now get into the politics of it. I have with me this afternoon Vivek Silas, Sanjay Jha, Pradeep Bhandari, and also joining the debate with us is from the BRS, we have Mr. Sridhar Reddy, and from the TDP, Patabi Ram Koma Reddy joining the debate. Vivek Silas, to you, may I ask, are you as pessimistic on the outlook of the budget as Sanjay Jha? Ya kuch acha laga?
क्या अच्छा लगा नाविका जी, सबसे पहले तो आपको प्रणाम कर रहा हूं। क्या अच्छा लगा, क्या अच्छा लगेगा जब हमारे प्रधानमंत्री माननीय मोदी जी ने कह दिया कि हमारे जो गरीब हैं और मिडिल इनकम ग्रुप हैं उनके ऊपर माता लक्ष्मी की विशेष कृपा बनी रहे है। जब वो प्रधानमंत्री खुद ही इस बात को एडमिट कर चुके हैं तो वो किस तरह का बजट प्रस्तुत करने जा रहे हैं हम सबको समझ में आ रहा है। किस तरह के बजट उन्होंने प्रस्तुत किया है पिछले 4-5-6 सालों में वो भी हमने देख लिया है।
लक्ष्मी जी प्रकट हो गई, आपको दिखी नहीं?
लक्ष्मी जी आ गई हैं, माता लक्ष्मी हमारे पास तो नहीं प्रकट हुई नाविका जी, और कहीं अगर गरीबों पे या मिडिल इनकम पे कुछ अनुकंपा हुई होगी तो उसके बारे में मुझे जानकारी नहीं है।
शायद
तो
विश्वास की कमी है, इसीलिए दिखता नहीं है। प्रकट हो चुकी है, लोगों को दिख चुकी है। कॉलर्स हैव कॉल्ड अप एंड सेड दे आर वेरी हैप्पी। आपको नहीं दिख रही है। प्रदीप भंडारी, इसका क्या उपाय है?
जो टैक्स देता है उसको दिखी है।
Navika ji, as I said, that the Indian opposition today is a meltdown mode because they also know deep inside their heart that this is a budget which is a huge transformative pro-middle class budget. Navika ji, the biggest point which I want to reiterate, 90% of the middle class which used to pay tax earlier now does not have to pay tax because 12 lakh annual income, if you tabulate it, 90% of the tax bracket of the middle class, tax-paying middle class, falls less than 12 lakh. So unofficially you can say, or indirectly, for 90% of the people there is zero tax who used to pay earlier. Along with that, even if your annual income is 20 lakh, the effective tax rate is only 10%. This is a transformative step which will have repercussions to boost demand and consumption, which my friend Vivek is not understanding because clearly the Samajwadi Party understands politics less and economics even lesser.
Well, clearly none of the politicians are paying taxes. The tax-paying Janta extremely happy. Politicians, especially in the opposition, don't pay taxes and therefore tax terrorism का भी डर रहता है और लक्ष्मी माँ भी नहीं नजर आती. But let me ask Sridhar Reddy. Sridhar Reddy, would you like to congratulate the Finance Minister today for taking a historic step in terms of tax reliefs, something that hasn't happened in the last 3 decades?
Yeah, I mean, the measures taken in the income tax is certainly good news to the middle class. There is no doubt about it. But you need to get the clarity in it because for up to 4 lakhs, absolutely there is zero. After that, we have to see the further clarity in it. Now, blatantly, straight away, we cannot say 100% zero tax and 12 lakhs. You will need more clarity, though she has specified on the floor of the House. We still need some more clarity on this. Except this good news, there is nothing much to be seen for the middle class also in this. Secondly, all non-BJP ruled states are ignored and completely out of it. For the last 10 years, Telangana, being a new state, we got a raw deal in many issues. Even this year, for some important projects, our state government, though Congress is in rule now, they too have proposed some projects to be taken up in the state at various levels, whether it is Metro Rail Phase 2 in Hyderabad, then flexibility in Mahatma Gandhi, NREGS and Backward Regional Grants Fund and all. There are many things close to 1.5 lakh crores they have proposed for various projects. Not even a single project have been considered. I have not seen anywhere in that. So as far as Telangana is considered, we are once again disappointed, and the stepmotherly treatment is being continued by the central government. This is a national budget. A lot of stuff is there in the fine print. Maybe we all need to read it. But first reaction coming in from Union Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, while he's praised the visionary budget and talked about everything for the Kisan, Garib, middle class, Mahila and children and the youth, he says middle class is always in the Prime Minister's heart. Zero income tax till 12 lakh income. The proposed tax exemption will go a long way in enhancing the financial well-being of the middle class. Well, so the middle classes, they're being applauded. Mr. Koma Reddy, Mr. Sridhar Reddy and Mr. Sanjay Jha, Vivek Silas, all very disappointed with the budget. How do you see the budget and can you see any positive green shoots coming from it? Ki sab kuch, everything is dark and black.
Navika, good afternoon. See, it is very much but common for the opposition,
to cut a sorry face, to express their disappointment. So that is not something which surprises me. But, you know, keeping aside politics, if you look at the budget, it is a very progressive budget. It is a budget which will enhance the growth of this country. It is a budget which had addressed various sectors. For example, you take the PM Dandanya Krishi Yojana, which is a scheme which is going to cover 100 districts currently which have low productivity in agriculture and which is going to benefit 1.7 crore farmers. Will the opposition get disappointed with this scheme? Can Mr. Sanjay Jha say, I'm extremely disappointed with the PM Dandanya Krishi Yojana, which is going to benefit 1.7 crore farmers?
Sanjay Jha, respond. There is for the farmers' welfare schemes. Will you oppose that as well?
Navika, may I request everybody who's watching your program, kindly look at all the announcements made in the last year's budget and see which were accomplished. Barely few, and only a few of them reached around 70% of completion. So announcement of schemes mean nothing. It's about execution and delivery of those schemes. So I think, you know, right now to get carried away is being extremely opportunistic. The bottom line is, where are the jobs? Tell me, where are the jobs? Because that is holding back the India growth story. Naukri kahan hai, berozgari kab jayegi? Uska jawab pehle dijiye aap.
Pradeep Bhandari, respond. 70% completion certificate given by Sanjay Jha on all schemes. Now, please respond to the rest.
Well, I will just respond by a simple example. The number of tap water connections that Sanjay Jha's party Congress provided in 7 decades, we have provided in 10 years, which is 15 crore households. 80% rural households have got tap water connection, potable drinking water, which you could not do for 70 years. Read the budget, Sanjay Jha. I know you are having a meltdown because you know this is an absolutely transformative budget for the middle class and you want to divert. Now, coming on to the part, you do not talk about jobs. Read the RBI report and the SBI report. You created 2 crore jobs in the UPA. We have created 17 crore jobs. We have created more than 1 lakh startups. We are unleashing newer potential in renewable energy. We are ensuring that our exports get incentive. Now you tell us, are you against middle class? Why are you against middle class? Are you saying that steps taken for middle class is rubbish? You have displayed your anti-middle class mindset on the show. Just because the middle class have got tax. No.
Realize how you have hurt the middle class.
You might be a rich man, Sanjay.
And if you are responding, you're responding to opposition pressure.
But do not say the steps taken for the Indian middle class are rubbish. This displays the Congress party's anti-middle class mindset. Yesterday you were anti-tribal, you displayed your anti-tribal mindset by the comment of Sonia Gandhi. Today you have said that the progressive steps for the Indian middle class is rubbish. You have disobeyed and disrespected 90% of the Indian middle class by saying that the tax proposals are rubbish. Sanjay, this is absolutely unjustified. You should apologize on the behalf of the Congress party because you are a loyalist.
Bhandari, you have exploited the middle class for the last 10 years on oil prices.
Sanjay ji,
you have exploited them by giving no jobs. You have exploited them by giving them cities with pollution. You have taken away their money in corruption and crony capitalism. You are anti-middle class and it has been established. And you have been forced to make the changes because we put the pressure on you.
I ask you,
that's it.
Go down from your lavish apartment and ask 5 people. In fact, ask 5 people, why are you against the tax proposals of 12 lakh zero exemption? Why are you getting so rattled? You should celebrate it.
Because we are asking you, I hope you are not taking the money away from other expenditure.
Sanjay Jha, you have demonstrated time and again that you are cut off from reality, and that really shows up in every election, at least for the Congress party. I'm not saying that only elections, give a report card on everything. But having said that, today not to look at the tax relief, not to look at some of the positive things in the union budget would be really existing like an ostrich. You can bury your head in the sand if you want to. It's a free country, democratic country. Please do that. Otherwise, wake up and smell the coffee because people are applauding the budget. There is a sense of jubilation, not just in the tax slab relief, but also in the, certain relief that comes in from tax, from housing rentals, where the tax slabs have also gone up. And that for the middle class is a huge relief. But joining me this afternoon is Shobna Kaminini, joining me live from CII, the health sector, and she of course looks at the Apollo hospitals. And Ms. Shobna Kaminini, I want to ask you, how do you rate this budget? The middle class is ecstatic, but how does India Inc. look at the budget? Does it have the makings of a growth-oriented budget, which is the need of the hour?
I would have thought it would take quite a bit to take the headlines off the Delhi elections next week. The relief to the middle class that is announced in this budget will certainly make those headlines. So I think that the middle class should definitely, I mean, why do we call the middle class? Most of India will be very, very happy. I don't know how many of them watch the budget, but I think that they will reap the benefit of it. And having done this, it will trigger a virtuous cycle, because these people really are the heart of consumption in India. They need to pay EMIs, they will buy houses, they will buy cell phones, they have to send their children to school, buy food, get health care. And putting more money back in their hands, I think, was a really powerful move. So on behalf of India, I want to thank the Finance Minister for that.
How do you look at the green shoots as far as growth is concerned? Because the second quarter numbers have put everybody in a bit of a spot. Do you think this one single step is going to actually have a multiplier impact on growth and investment, the virtuous cycle that you're talking about?
It's a start. It's really a start. But, for me, my worry is that we need growth of more than 7+%. Because in the sixes, even the high sixes, this K-shape will still remain. That whatever we put, the wealthier will benefit. There'll be more premiumization. But when you have this entire middle class winning, and for that the 7% growth, I'm not sure how much this will do to it, but definitely there'll be some green shoots. But there's so much more, and why do we expect just the budget to make this happen? There'll be GST, there'll be private sector putting investments in, there'll be more education, skilling, job creation. I think that's fundamental. Wherever we have those sectors for job creation, I think we need to find those levers.
Yeah, if I can just come in this, there's, some of the particular announcements relating to the health sector include 36 life-saving drugs being made duty-free. The big question is, how is this directly going to impact on healthcare? Because this includes treatment for diseases such as cancer, ma'am.
So, as you know, cancer is probably the most expensive treatment, and the problem in India is that we detect it so late, so we do need all these. So this will help. How much it will move the needle, but I think this is more in terms of an overall policy. So I'm hopeful that the government will start moving the needle to make healthcare, the best of healthcare, affordable. But I really like the emphasis on Heal in India. That allows not just soft diplomacy, but India is a place where people from around the world, especially our neighboring countries, will get the best of healthcare. We have all that, and once you do that in our sector, I think that there's a possibility for this virtuous cycle to be kicking off, providing good jobs, giving people better healthcare, keeping people well. There's a lot of vibrancy that can come from good policies in this sector, especially in terms of GST.
Well, on that note, thank you very much, Shobhana Kamineni, and let me go back to Sridhar Reddy. Sridhar Reddy, would you want to take a relook at the budget announcements and find at least two positive things, even from your point of view?
See, this announcement in the income tax definitely is a good thing, and as you are now speaking about the reduction of prices for the cancer and other treatment and all that, there are some things that are very, very regular that they have done even in the past also. But there are some decisions which need to be changing the course of some industry or something not missing in this budget. Rather, it is one should say it's a flat budget. And as far as states are concerned, again I'm going back to the same. You speak about Bihar, you speak about Andhra Pradesh, or in the last budget again you speak about BJP ruled states, whether it is Gujarat or some other state. Why not South Indian states basically? Because you are in Andhra Pradesh, yes, you would have made some statements or taken the name. Why not Telangana? Why not Tamil Nadu? Why not Kerala? Why not Karnataka? So once again the same. Are these states are not contributing to the nation's kitty? Again, time and again, important projects for cities like Hyderabad and cities like Chennai and all, these requests were always ignored in the budget. And the answer is
Pradeep Bhandari wants to counter you. There's something for every state, he says. Pradeep Bhandari, Telangana has got nothing, Kerala has got nothing. Would you want to counter Mr. Reddy?
Well, yeah, Mr. Reddy is factually wrong, Navika ji, because during the time of the Congress party, here's the data, the transfer to the states was roughly less than 7 lakh crores. What we are now transferring to the states, which is more than 25.60 lakh crore. So there is more devolution which is happening to the states. In fact, this budget incentivizes states 0.5% to GSDP in order to loan for capital expenditure. So what Mr. Reddy is saying is absolutely wrong. No, sir. The devolution which the Congress used to do was less than 8 lakh crores. What we are devoluting to the states is more than 25 lakh crore. This is not what I am cooking up a data. This is actually the data which is there. You can also Google and check. So what you are saying that we are not devoluting the states, we are devoluting more. In fact, 15 lakh crore more than what Congress used to devolve to states, which includes Telangana, which includes every state. So do not lie on the show.
Well, let me also get in Sumit Singhania, because there's one point. In an additional tax relief, there is a clause allowing relief for self-occupied property. A self-occupied house property is used for one's own residential purposes. The other, you can claim 2 properties as self-occupied and the remaining house as a let-out for income tax purposes. How does this work, and will this give some relief?
So this basically, if you look at the way the taxes will be calculated for if you got 2 houses, one is exempt, the other is in a concessional way, you compute the taxable income. On a net income basis, it's not a tax rate play, right? It's only about how the taxable income will be computed. So this ultimately will lead to the lower tax income. It doesn't sort of play out with the tax rate. The headline here is the rate cut. Headline is not
4 to 6 lakhs.
4 to 6 lakhs, so in fact going all the way to 12 lakhs for the lower income category, right? For let's say somebody...
No, in the property, there's a separate break.
So I have not picked up that piece, Navika, but all I'm saying is this provision still exists even today, right? So you have the benefit of the 2 house properties, concessional income, etc. But it may be a marginal benefit, so I'm still to pick up. But I think the headline news still is that
now it is, earlier there were some conditions applied, correct. Now there are no conditions
applied, correct.
Yeah. So that is also there, but let's go back. Let's go back to the income tax rate.
This is where it really boils down. This is the big headline, as he was saying, and this is how it will make a big difference. If your income is 8 lakh rupees, as per the old regime, you would have to pay 30,000 rupees as tax. The tax now is 0. Therefore, a direct saving of 30,000. Let's get the next slab in. It is 9 lakh rupees of income annually, and now the old tax, which was 40,000 rupees, comes down to again 0, therefore a saving of 40,000. Again for the 10 lakh category, the old tax of 50,000, the tax now is 0, a saving of 50,000 for those households or those persons who are earning at that level of 10 lakhs. 11 lakhs, again the same story, 65,000 would have been the old tax paid, the tax now stands at a 0 here, direct saving of 65,000 at 12 lakh rupees, and this is the interesting one, 80,000 rupees, close to a lakh that is going to be saved by these persons as well. In fact, so that's a significant amount that we're talking about. Now, as far as 16 lakhs, this is where it gets interesting. The old tax was 1.7 lakhs. Here the tax, in fact, that is now going to be paid is 1.2 lakhs. The saving here is 50,000 as well. Income tax of 20 lakh rupees, the old tax would have been 2.9 lakhs. This comes down to 2 lakhs, almost a lakh here as well. That saved a saving of 90,000. Income tax of 24 lakhs, and this is of course the old tax of 4.1 lakh rupees. Tax now at 3 lakh, over a lakh saved at 1.1 lakhs over there. Now, if your income tax is 50 lakhs, The old tax is 11.9 lakhs. The tax now is 10.08 lakhs, and even at a 50 lakh, there is a saving of 1 lakh rupees. Very, very interesting set of statistics. And you know, if Mr. Singhania, you can come in on this. This is going to make a huge difference as far as all middle classes are concerned.
We need to move away from the middle class narrative and say that this actually saves. You saw the number from 16 lakhs to all the way to 50 lakhs. It still saves for every single taxpayer 1.1 lakhs.
So it cuts across the entire swath of middle class.
I think the narrative
that is the most important part, that every tax slab, whether you are at 12 lakhs or you are at 20 lakhs or at 40 lakhs, you have some savings of income tax.
So it's not a middle class budget or a poor class budget, it's a budget for all taxpayers in India.
Absolutely.
The definition of middle class in India, somebody who earns 40-50 lakhs will also consider himself middle class. He will not call himself a rich man, even though the government definitions
are that. You may be the rich man, we are all
We are definitely not. We are definitely not. But that's the whole point that I'm making, that everyone who's in these salaried brackets will call themselves middle class.
Siddharth Sharma of Aam Aadmi Party is joining this broadcast. And Siddharth Sharma ji, Modi ji ko namaskar kar dijiye. उन्होंने तो middle class को इतना बड़ा tax relief दे दिया. Would you want to congratulate him today?
Yeah, obviously we would like to congratulate, because when the income tax slabs were brought down, if you remember, just a week ago, Arvind Kejriwal had asked for that. And we feel that it is a vindication of Arvind Kejriwal's demand. And in fact, he made six other demands. So vindicating one and not taking up all the six, it's a bit
Mr. Siddharth Sharma, I want to ask you, कहीं बीजेपी और आम आदमी पार्टी मिली तो नहीं हुई है? क्योंकि कांग्रेस तो यही कह रही है.
हाँ, मैं आपको बताता हूँ कैसे ये अभी आप दिखा रहे थे in your show, you were showing that different tax slabs, the minimum benefit somebody is getting is 30,000 and the maximum somebody is getting is 1 lakh. So between right now your graphics are showing that 30,000 saving, 50,000 saving. So in fact you are showing it's a good thing. That's what Arvind Kejriwal had demanded. Now just to juxtapose it, Aam Aadmi Party, voting for Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi means 25,000 rupees a month of saving. That works out to 3 lakh rupees, 3 lakh saving per year. So since it is everything is money and in thousands, I am saying that Modi ji is giving a benefit, just income tax benefits to the tune of thousands, whereas a vote to Aam Aadmi Party means a saving of nearly 3 lakh rupees. Now second thing, I think before me somebody from CII was speaking about healthcare. It's strange that 2% healthcare, we were asking for 10% healthcare. 2% healthcare, how can you expect a nation of 150 crore people to manage at 2% healthcare? The example here being that Delhi is spending...
आप पहले आयुष्मान भारत तो अप्लाई कर दो दिल्ली में.
हाँ, 13% आता हूँ ना नविका जी, आप कभी तो बुलाते हैं, बोलने का मौका देते हैं, बीच में आप काट देंगे तो फिर मैं कैसे बोल पाऊंगा? अरे छोटा बालक हो, थोड़ा सा मार्जिन दे दीजिए ना.
छोटे बालक है तो मैं.
तो देखिए, Delhi is giving 13% health, assigning 13% health care. The result is an average Delhi wala's life expectancy is 68 years. Next door Noida, it is 63 years. So you have to spend on people. The third very important thing that is coming up, due to Bihar elections, they are giving SOPs to Bihar, which is welcome. But strangely, Delhi is also going through an election. They are not giving any SOPs to Delhi. Imagine what they will deliver later.
All middle classes have got exemptions. In Delhi, there is a 67% people in Delhi are middle class people. They are very happy, and that is why probably थोड़ा सा आपको चिंता हो रहा है. I will come back to you. Amitabh Kant, who's the G20 Sherpa, former Niti Aayog CEO, joins me on this broadcast. Amitabh Kant, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. And good cheer budget for the middle classes. Most people worried about whether public expenditure will take a hit, infrastructure building will take a hit. What do you think about this budget? While it gives some relief to middle classes, do you think overall it is a growth-oriented budget?
Well, Navika, let me say that this is a budget which aims to drive, take India into close to about a 8% plus growth story for India on the long run, because it gives a fillip to demand. It puts money in the hands of the consumer, which is very critical at this point of time. For a finance minister to put out about 1 lakh crores in the hands of the middle class and another 2,600 crore from indirect taxes is a big deal. But she's done this in a very fiscally responsible manner, because the fiscal deficit for this year was about 4.8%. She's targeting for 4.4% in the coming year, which shows that she's worried about, she's taken all aspects of macroeconomic stability into consideration, which is very important. Otherwise, you'll have the challenge of inflation. But the big beneficiary in this whole India story is, of course, the middle class of India. And secondly, this budget lays a lot of emphasis on job creation in certain labor-intensive sectors. I've never seen so much of emphasis on tourism, on textiles, on footwear, on leather, and these are critical sectors which are job creating in a very, very big way. I was also very delighted on emphasis on startup and saying that we'll replenish the 10,000 crore fund of funds, which will have a multiplier impact, because for every rupee that is put in, the venture capital will also put in money, and that will have a huge impact. And another 20,000 crore for innovation, in which she's talking about a separate fund of funds for the deep tech sector. So which requires patient capital. So these are very good moves. And I also feel that, this emphasis on clean tech manufacturing, because we are big importers of solar, of electric vehicles, of batteries, electrolyzers, many of these things. A national mission was really necessary to ensure Make in India. And many people, I mean, you're also emphasizing this aspect about infrastructure creation. Let me say that there's putting asset monetization pipeline of 10,000 crores, from 25 to 30 means that every ministry will have to do asset monetization. Private sector will come in, do better management, better operation. And she said that there'll be a private-public partnership which every ministry will create projects for the next 3 years, which will be driven by the private sector. So these are big ticket announcements. And in addition to this, my personal view is that there's a huge emphasis on doing away with regulatory cholesterol, ease of doing business, scrapping rules, regulations, having a committee which will come out with its final recommendations, because you need to take the states on board. Because my belief is that a lot of rules, regulation, procedures need to be scrapped in India, and that to that extent, this is a budget in the right direction. And in the long-term trajectory, this should take you to a higher rate of growth of 8% plus.
Absolutely. And get out of the way was an indication in the economic survey, and the finance minister following up with a policy bill addressing some of those concerns. But Mr. Amitabh Kant, investment. Capital investments at the level of about 11 lakh crores last year has only gone up to from 11.1 lakh crores to 11.12 lakh crores. So are we seeing a plateauing of private capital, of public capital investments, number one? Number two, the issue of creating, investment friendly index. Is that going to improve federal relations, or are we going to have a further deterioration and confrontation between the center and what are called the non-BJP ruled states?
So, Navika, the actual expenditure was about, on infrastructure was about 10 lakh crores. Taking it to 11.2 lakh crores is a good deal, but sending out this message that we are going to do asset with monetization of 10 lakh crores and put out asset for private sector to manage and push for private-public partnership will bring in private capital into infrastructure sector. Those are very important measures to my mind. They will help you to drive this. And secondly, opening up the insurance sector will enable greater level of insurance penetration of insurance into rural areas, which again will be very good for the economy. The regulatory cholesterol is largely in the, huge amount of regulatory cholesterol is in the states, and therefore you need to take the states along, and you need to rank the states, you need to name and shame the states, you need to tell them that you will get investments only if you do away with rules, regulation, procedures. And therefore ranking states, naming and shaming them, working on outcomes, all these are very, very important things. So I would say that she's done a really good job with, and also talking about the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0, which will decriminalize a number of rules, regulation, procedures. So she's brought the regulatory cholesterol center stage.
Well, clearly, positive, looking budget for all sectors. Of course, the opposition can't see it. But will this help the economy to the higher growth trajectory from the last quarter, which has spooked everybody? The 5.4% in the second quarter this year is the big question. But for now, thank you very much, Mr. Amitabh Kant, for joining me on Times Now with your first take on Nirmala Sitharaman's budget 25-26. Going back to the political debate, Pradeep Bhandari, Siddharth Sharma कह रहे हैं कि आप सारी बातें अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की सुनकर आपने ये वाला बजट दिया है. Prime Minister Modi was waiting for the pearls of wisdom from the Aam Aadmi Party, and accordingly the budget has been prepared. Please respond.
Well, Navika ji, I think Siddharth does not know that the budget preparation starts way in advance, and it is extremely hilarious. But you can expect this coming from the Aam Aadmi Party. जो लोग ये सोच सकते हैं कि यमुना के अंदर जहर एक सरकार डाल सकती है, वो कुछ भी सोच सकते हैं. Tomorrow, Arvind Kejriwal will say that Elon Musk also does technological innovation, asking Arvind Kejriwal. Tomorrow, Arvind Kejriwal will say that Virat Kohli also bats, asking Arvind Kejriwal how to bat. Tomorrow, Arvind Kejriwal party will say कि भाई anybody in the country does any step, it is only because of Arvind Kejriwal. So Arvind केजरीवाल है तो कुछ भी वियर्ड मुमकिन है, मोदी जी है तो विकास मुमकिन है. That is something which is there. Now I will come to the specifics of it. He was speaking about healthcare. All of us know that how in Punjab the Mohalla clinics have been rebranded as Ayushman Vandana Kendra. That is point number 2. Point number 3, the larger point I want to again focus, Navika ji, is I know Siddharth is rattled that there will be saving of 80,000 rupees for a middle class with annual income of 12 lakh, 50,000 with annual income of 16 lakh, 70,000 with annual income of 18 lakh, 90,000 with annual income of 20 lakh, 1 lakh 10,000 with annual income of 25 lakh. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi is putting more than 50,000 in the pocket of the middle class, whereas Arvind Kejriwal in Delhi is snatching more than 50,000 to 60,000 rupees away from the middle class by ensuring that there is no clean water, the garbage dumps are not clean, the roads are not there. So overall, if you go with Arvind Kejriwal, the middle class has to pay a price of more than 60,000 from its pocket. If you go with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, you will have a saving of more than 50,000. That's the difference. He is rattled, he is losing Delhi elections, and this is why Arvind Kejriwal is coming with one jumla to the other.
Well, Siddharth Sharma, are you losing Delhi elections?
I completely agree. When I think it's for Pradeep Bhai was saying that Modi ji is giving benefits to the tune of thousands. I completely agree with him. The only difference here is that Modi ji is giving a benefit of thousands, and a vote to Aam Aadmi Party means a net benefit of 3 lakh rupees per year per annum.
आप वोट खरीद रहे हैं लाखों देकर. Well, आनंद रंगनाथन, respond to Siddharth Sharma.
नाविका जी, प्रदीप बोल रहे थे, प्रदीप ने शुरू किया ना, प्रदीप 1000 की बात कर रहे हैं तो हम लाख की बात कर रहे हैं, तो शुरू तो उन्होंने किया था ना. Anyway, I think I'll come to a very substantive part, Navika ji. You were speaking about the economic survey. I think the economic survey of the BJP government presented in the parliament.
Elections के बाद जाके आपको कुछ नहीं मिलेगा.
अरे सर, मत कीजिए ना. आप बड़े भाई हो यार. जितना बड़ा पूरा देश का बजट बना रहे हो. मैं एक छोटे राज्य के आदमी हूँ. 2 मिनट के लिए बोलूंगा, चला जाऊंगा. इतना मत गरियाओ मेरे ऊपर. आज बजट का दिन है. सबके लिए अच्छा है. सबके घर में रसगुल्ले बटेंगे. अच्छी बात है. I think, Navika ji, what you said about the economic survey of India, it revealed 2 very important things. One is that food has become expensive. The second is that the salary of the common man still is the same as before COVID, while corporate earnings have increased 15%. Both of these show that the policies of Modi government are helping the rich move at the speed of an aeroplane, while the average middle class is moving at the speed of a scooty.
No,
I think that's why
per capita income of the middle class
why not introduce subsidies for higher education?
No, you are again wrong on data, my dear friend.
To middle class. Why
no,
isn't health budget increased to 10%?
The per capita income of the middle class at PPP terms has doubled in the last 10 years. The disposable income of the poor has gone up. That is why they are spending less on cereals and spending more on fruits and vegetables. थोड़ा पढ़ के आइए. भाई ग्रामीण लोगों की disposable income बढ़ रही है और साथ में middle class की per capita income बढ़ रही है.
I think the Delhi Dangal results are going to come today over the budget only. But Anand Ranganathan, you wanted to come in.
From the politics, because that will go on between the two parties, I wanted to make a substantive point on the cancer point. I think it's great that the government has removed the duties on the essential drugs, but this is the vagary of the Indian state. It was a crime that the duties were put on the first place. Body parts are not car parts. You know, you can have an Indian car, and if you want to drive a foreign-made car, then yes, legitimately you pay duty on it. But then if you have a life-threatening disease, you're dying of cancer, to have a 10% duty or 15% duty on a drug that would save your life. It was criminal for people who did that. So I think, yes, it is, I must thank the government that they've corrected this step, but the government must find out who are the people who had actually put this step in the first place, and heads must roll for this.
All right. Point well made.
The elephant in the room, which is not there on the chart anymore, is why is the stock market down? And I think the stock market, I would wager, has actually taken into account a little bit of kite flying that has happened in this budget. I'll just quote one figure. Despite all the benefits that you've correctly made here about the middle class, the tax expectation of the government is up by 1.8 lakh crores. Where is that going to come from? Compliance? With this kind of a fall? Simple maths. It's not. Unfortunately, it won't. If
Monika
it doesn't,
Halan.
1.8 lakh crores. Where?
I'm coming to you. Monika.
I just think compliance will be better because the the rates have gone down, the slab rates have increased. I just think compliance will be better, and there is the pressure on increasing the tax net. I would imagine that they will push the pedal very hard because we've got numbers to show how many are outside of the tax net. And that's a huge number.
Sumit Singhania.
This is probably yesterday's
from BSEindia.com.
No, I would not go by this.
Down. It's down.
Yes, Sumit Singhania.
If I look at the tax,
latest second.
1 minute.
Yeah, if you just look at the tax economics, I don't think it should be a concern that government has reduced the tax slab on one hand, given 1 lakh crore to the middle class in the taxpayers' hands. But at the same time, the expectation is that tax revenue next year will grow by 12%. That actually underlines how the government is going to improvise the ease of doing business, how they're going to do the compliance reform, so that more and more taxpayers will be filing the tax return. So that's the play. I don't think. Yeah.
Well, let's look at the stock market numbers. It's a little down and it's a little up. These are live numbers. I don't know if you're looking at the live data, but it's in the range of +5 to -10. That's the range. So pretty much flat stock market. But maybe it's a Saturday and
barometer of the budget success or the growth plan.
Absolutely, the stock markets cannot be seen, and suddenly it's up 10 points. So Anand Ranganathan, it's in the green now.
But if you compare it to where it was, it has actually fallen. That's true. But anyway, the point is.
Well, the point at the end of the day is it a budget that brings cheer? Well, public investment in capital has remained same. As Amitabh Kant said, 11.1 was the budget estimate. Actual expenditure was at 10 lakh crores. Now it's 11 lakh crores again this year. No, so it's a repeat.
It's more than 11. It's in the region of 13.
11.1.
No, 13.
11.11 was the budget estimate. And it's not got to that level, but another 11.2 lakh crores has been put aside for capital investment in the current year. So jobs, infrastructure, investments by all that is on track. For farmers, for the poor, there is enough that has been rolled out. For the middle class, there is a bonanza. There is the recognition of the fact that the middle class, and it was clear in the voting patterns, the middle class had not come out in big cities, had not voted, and they were a little jaded. They have voted Modi back to power, but there was a little bit lesser support than the earlier two elections, and that has been recognized, and Modi has responded in equal measure, maybe more, to say, "Aap hamare dil mein hai," and the middle class today applauding that effort. Will that now result in higher consumption? Will that result in higher demand? Will that rev up the economy? Will we see a higher growth rate? These are issues that we will have to wait and watch out for. But for now, to begin to think that this budget actually solves every problems from 5,000 years BC till maybe 5,000 AD would be rather unfair. For the moment, what an annual budget can do, does this budget give you the vision and the roadmap for that? Many people today are saying yes, it does. Well, the naysayers will always be the naysayers. But are they people who people of India believe in? That question hangs out for you, the viewer, because you are the final judge. For now, we'll take a short break. Thank you very much, viewers, and thank you to our panelists. More news, more analysis comes up after this break. Don't go anywhere just yet.